covering the 2012 GOP convention here in Tampa, Florida. Honored to be joined by the governor of the beautiful state of Utah, Governor Gary Herbert. Governor, it's nice to meet you, sir.
Well, thank you. It's great to be with you.
If I may ask you first, you represent a state with a large Mormon population. With Mitt Romney being in the race, do you think there's an anti-Mormon bias in the media?
Well, I think there's some with some people, but I don't think it's prevalent out there. I think the Mormon issue's been taken care of and set aside. I think more important to most people is what are his values? What are Mitt Romney's values? What are his principles? And what is his vision for America going forward? It's almost a curiosity. He, by the way, happens to be a Mormon.
Fair enough. You know, what do your constituents in Utah say to you are the biggest issues with the Obama presidency, and how can a Romney-Ryan ticket fix them?
Well, it's been a lack of leadership. Clearly, if it was working, it would be working. I mean, the fact of the matter is most people know that it's not working. Our economy is still in the tank. We're still not doing very well. You know, 4 years now of over 8% unemployment rate. And he came and said, hey, I will change that. I will turn it around. And he hasn't. So like a lot of people, it's time for a change. You know, and I think we need somebody that actually understands free market principles, that's been there and actually done that. And unfortunately, President Obama hasn't. So Mitt Romney brings a lot of success in his life, not only his family life, but in the public sector, in the private sector. We saw him personally in Utah turn around the Olympics. That's the kind of success and leadership we've got to have today to rescue America.
Utah, you know, usually a red state, so probably not a lot of concern about Romney-Ryan taking Utah. But we're here in Florida, battleground state. You talk about Virginia, where NRA News is headquartered. You talk about Ohio. What is the message in those states to, you know, to take Romney-Ryan over the top?
Well, I think they need to, one, lay out the vision of what they're going to do. It's not a matter of rhetoric anymore. We've had plenty of rhetoric for the last number of years. So what are the principles that are going to guide us, and what are we going to do to turn the country around? And I think everybody wants to have improvement. I mean, we're tired of this stagnation that we see out there, where the economy really is only cooking on about 2 cylinders out of 8. So I think whether you're in Wisconsin or Ohio or Florida, the concern is the same. We need jobs. We need economic opportunity. We need to create wealth, which creates jobs. And I think if they get that message out, that's going to be the #1 resonating issue with anybody, no matter what the state is that you're from.
A lot of your fellow governors are pushing back on some of the mandates coming down from the federal government. You know, when you're told what to do by the federal government, what kind of pushback do you do, and what kind of is it an uncomfortable feeling sometimes?
Well, I don't think any of us like to be told what to do by somebody who doesn't even know what we're doing.
Or what they're doing sometimes.
Yeah, and clearly we see their management style and say, gee, we can do better than that. Right. So, you know, part of the 10th Amendment, part of state sovereignty, part of the federalism aspect of the United States of America is these little incubators of democracy, laboratories of democracy and innovation. Let us find ways to solve our own problems. It's one of the cornerstones of our administration in Utah. It's economic development, jobs, education, energy, and self-determination. States want to self-determine what we're doing here. What we do in Utah, for example, for health care, which is the youngest population in America, compared to Florida, where we're at here today, which has the oldest population in America, the needs and demands of the health care are different in those two states. They ought to have different approaches. That's why the beauty of our Constitution with this federalism aspect of different states all having their own ability to be sovereign has worked wonderfully well for us. Too much now the overreach of the federal government gets in the way of good management. Their overreach is too draconian, and we need to have them pull back and understand that we're partners in this effort. We're not subservient to the federal government.
Governor, you talk. I've talked to other governors of different states, and energy is a very interesting topic to talk about. When you talk about the Obama administration, their war on fossil fuels, and the EPA regulations, what can your state provide and produce more of if the government would allow it?
Well, we can do a lot more when it comes to oil, natural gas, and coal. Utah has been rated the best place in America for business by Steve Forbes and Forbes magazine. One of the reasons was because we have 31% lower energy costs. Keeping costs of energy low gives us economic opportunity to expand. It's an expense item on most everybody's ledger. Having costs rise inhibits our ability to grow the economy. So we have competitive advantage in Utah because we understand that principle. 80% of our energy and electricity production in Utah comes from coal. And yet coal's become kind of a hiss and a byword by this administration and others out there. We can do things in much cleaner, more environmentally sensitive ways, and we're doing that in Utah. We have an abundance of coal. We also, with new technology, have an abundance of natural gas, which is in fact even a cleaner fuel. So with new technology, these fuels can be utilized to actually give us a solid foundation to build a solid economy on. The fact that we're over the proverbial barrel of the Middle East hurts us, not only economically, but on national security basis. I'd just soon be paying money to our own people here to develop our domestic resources, as opposed to sending dollars to Venezuela, for example. So Utah has a lot to offer, as do many other states when it comes to energy sustainability. And by golly, we need to have a plan. Utah, we put together a 10-year plan for energy development and on all of the above. You bring it, we don't subsidize anything, but you bring it, if the marketplace wants it, they'll buy it, you'll make money. And that's the way the free market should work. We wished we had a 10-year plan for America out of Washington, D.C.
And then in Utah, when they do have a successful business that you didn't subsidize, you can actually say to them, you did build that.
You did build that on your own. You know, it's unfortunate. I think President Obama actually showed us a little bit of an insight into his view of the world. He really does believe government is there to help you, and I'm here from the government, I'm here to help you, you know, one of the big lies, and thinks that government knows better. You know, and doesn't understand this. There's thousands of moving parts in a free market. To think an elite group of people, even the Congress, can sit around and make decisions and pick winners and losers is ludicrous, and really counterproductive to having the right outcome. And you know, we want to have in America the best outcome, the highest benefit, highest quality, at the lowest cost of any goods and services. Free markets have produced that throughout our history. Why would we want to get away from that and redistribute wealth and have government picks the winners and the losers in the marketplace? It is just a fallacious argument and really is counterproductive to what America that I grew up believing in and that we all believe in was created by our founding fathers.
Last question, Governor. We know Utah is a very Second Amendment friendly state. Talk about your constituents and their use and enjoyment of firearms and the protections of the Second Amendment in your state.
Well, we're strong supporters of the Second Amendment in Utah. We've had a number of opportunities to demonstrate that with the legislation, and opposing legislation would take away those Second Amendment rights. I got a kick out of Susana Martinez last night talking about her first job as a security person, as an 18-year-old watching over the Catholic bingo games, and her carrying her .357 Smith & Wesson. I think that's really kind of the way it is. I think the fact that we have the right to bear arms is important, needs to be protected, and certainly Utah's doing our part.
Governor, thanks for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.